GSL.
Don't get in my way now.
Welcome back to the GSTL. Right now, Slayers is up one game against LGIM. Dark, the newcomer, the Slayers project, or the Sella project, I guess I should say, as you were saying earlier. Sella really training him personally and checking him out, making sure he's doing well. We got a little interview here.
And you know, I really love this intro that we always have. I'm just sitting there without my headset, and as soon as I hear Jimmy saying, "What's up, Calder?" I know he's like, "Are you ready? Can you continue?" And I'm like, yeah, okay, I got my headset, I'm fine, we can start. But yeah, you're right. Let's have a look at the interview with Sella here in his suit, looking sexy, of course, here as well. And let's see what Sella has to say about game number one. So he says, like, Slayers are known to be one of the teams that has pretty weak Zerg players in general, or not really this deep lineup of Zerg, so he trained Dark specifically for this team match. Yeah, and today we don't have Coca on the bench.
I am Coach thinks MC was a little bit desperate to get an all kill today, and the next player's going to play a little bit better than MC did. Pretty straight up. He doesn't look very happy, to be honest.
No fluff from here. Yeah, he's not sugarcoating anything.
If you look at his face right now, man, he's wearing it.
Yeah, he's not happy at all. But I like it. I mean, I like that he's really straightforward about it, really honest. Sella just said that last time Slayers won, but they know that LGIM is a very strong and great team. Dark, on the other hand, said that if he is able to take down the first player of LGIM, then he might actually get an all kill here. So he seems really confident, and Sella is asking for everyone to support Dark.
They said in today's match we're going to show exactly how strong our team really is. And, you know, Hira is just such a man of the right words, I think. Just he's very straightforward. Tomorrow in the afternoon, there's actually a fan meeting at the GOMTV studios, so anyone can come and visit. They want to check out the fan meeting, watch, hang out with the LGIM players. So if you hear that, if you're in Seoul, or if you're about to get on a plane to Seoul, maybe you can make it in time.
Sella says that Slayers had a lot of new players this season, and they will try to use them so that the fans can actually get to know the new players. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. With Dark making a really good impression here.
Yeah, he's already shown great game.
네, 이번에 이겨야 다음에 승자조에서 원종범 선수와 같이 WCC.
They're just going to, of course, continue to try their best to get the good results, is what they're saying.
전종범 선수와 함께하기 위해서라도 꼭 이기도록 하겠습니다.
네, 알겠습니다. 좋은 멋진 승부 기대하도록 하겠습니다.
If Slayers wins today, then the coach can go to WCG with Mia. So. Okay, so apparently what's basically going to happen is if they win today, then Sella can go with Mia to WCG, and if they lose, then they have to prepare for the next match because of when the dates actually how they work. So that's what he said in the end. And yeah, you actually raised a good point when you talked about Hira and him not just not kidding around. When I was at the LGIM house, they had a bit of a meeting, just talking about the week, what would happen, and setting down a few rules. And some of the players were actually not really listening and just kidding around. And at some point, he really put his foot down and he was like, basically nearly shouting, which I've never really heard a Korean do in a conversation. He's like, "Okay, guys, listen up." So everyone was, "Okay, I guess this is serious."
Yeah.
He really made them work. He was standing there and he was like, "Guys, take this serious. These are the games that we have to prepare for, and you better get started right now."
Yeah, he's very serious. He takes the Team League very seriously as well. You know, LGIM is a team that just recently got a big sponsor, and they definitely want to show that off as much as possible, show the best games possible for their new sponsor, and so far so good. But in this particular series, the partnered team player, SKMC, is not able to get a win, so they've got to, really take this seriously. I think using Younghwa here is a great choice because even though he's great, he's so good he can all-kill a team, at the same time, he's still one of their weaker players as far as results go. So a great choice to send him out here, I think.
And I talked a little bit, as promised, with Sella about Dark, and he said that Dark is actually in this mindset where he's right now feeling pretty confident, not too nervous about it. At first, before the match started, he might have been a little bit shaken, but as soon as the game is on, he's completely in the zone. And Salah actually mentioned that he feels a lot more nervous than Dark right now.
Yeah.
And you can tell. Salah is just standing there the entire time, and he looks like a little bit shaken. This is basically him being the coach now for his team, and also like his protege, his player. I don't want to say the kid that he raised to play StarCraft. That would be too much, but you guys know what I mean. He's just training Dark a lot, and he wants him to perform well, and so far he did. But Salah is really nervous about today.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. And here we have the next player for GIM. This is Yonghwa, guys, and he has been doing so well in the GSTL in the preliminary so far.
Yeah, he really has. He is on fire right now. His win rate on this map is 100% as well. No big deal. Great map to play. A great matchup to play the map on. It's just...
he had to be into.
It had to be.
And he was able to take down Fnatic without dropping a single game. Dark, on the other hand, said that's what he wants to do today against LGIM. It sounds a little bit like an impossible task. Can he take down player number 2? Can he take down Yonghwa? We'll find out. GSTL Slayers against LGIM. Studio Mokdong. Starting to the top left, we have the Zerg player who was just able to take down MC in the opening game between Slayers and LGIM. Starting in orange is
Slayers Dark. He gets a special drum roll for his intro.
We don't have an intro for this guy.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit surprised because I heard it earlier.
Maybe there's a bug in the audio file. I don't know.
Well, I don't know either, but I'm definitely sure that we have an introduction for the player at the bottom left. We already heard it in the preliminaries. This is the Protoss player for LGIM who was able to all-kill Fnatic. This is
LGIM Yonghwa.
Yonghwa just... that Yonghwa face, man, he just looks like he probably hasn't slept so much because he's been practicing so hard.
Do you like these neck thingies for earphones?
I'm sorry I didn't see it.
These neck thingies that was hanging down.
Oh, no, it's, well...
I hate it. I really don't like it for some reason. It's always a little bit weird. I don't know why.
It's okay. I didn't like it at first, but I got used to it. I know how you feel, though.
Well, at this point, what we've seen on the map just recently for Protoss is actually a lot of Protoss players not going for the 4th base, but starting with a very heavy gateway attack on 3 bases. This might be something that Yonghwa is deciding to do now as well, but at first we have him opening up with a Forge here, whereas Dark has started things off with his pile, with his spawning pool. No biggie here.
Yeah.
Wants to get this expansion, of course, but a block by Yonghwa with a pile.
Absolutely. Oh, I was actually wondering about something. I want actually to get people's answers about this. I want everyone to tweet at myself and Caldor. I'm Proximal, he's Caldor. Whether you're watching the VOD or you're watching live, your favorite GSTL memory. I want to, if you can fit that into 140 characters, tell us what your favorite GSTL memory is, because I want to know what everybody thinks is like their favorite memory, because everybody likes different players in different teams. So tweet at Proximal, tweet at Caldor.
What's actually yours? Mine is definitely the reverse all-kill by Simple.
Mine is actually MVP versus Squirtle on Terminus Re. That was such a crazy game, and it was so insane to see like these new bigger maps, and it was a really evolving time for strategy. First Team League, I was loving that. That was definitely my favorite memory.
Alright, now we might have Dark creating a new favorite memory, not only for us, but also for the Slayers fans. Is he really able to take a second win of the LGIM team, which would be a little bit crazy for this young player to achieve? We have 2 hatches now going down for him, taking the natural and the 3rd, whereas the Protoss for LGIM, whereas Yonghwa is now starting his Nexus, and I want to find out what exactly he's going to do. Will he have this heavy gateway stalker attack?
Yeah, there's so many different options he's got, and right now, Dark has shown that he likes to play things a little bit greedy sometimes. He went up to a crazy amount of drones, but he always was just so comfortable. There was no moment where he looked weak. Like, MC couldn't even quite judge if it was the right time to attack. He hesitated a lot. And this type of opponent is really scary to attack because even though you can do a lot of great timing attacks off 2 bases on this map, a lot of players like to take that 3rd base really quick, especially when you're up against someone who's just so well defended. After watching MC, right now Yonghwa might be thinking, well, I think I'm just going to take my 3rd base pretty quick. I don't know how aggressive I actually want to be against this guy who seems like he can defend anything. I mean, I've only seen 1 game from him today, but...
The thing about Dark is that he is not afraid to build spine crawlers. As soon as he works up a bit of a bank and starts his tech, he doesn't hesitate to throw down a lot of spine crawlers. Make sure that he never really builds up this huge 1,000, 2,000 mineral bank that later will allow him to get his tech units a little bit faster, but at the same time leaves him vulnerable to attack timings.
Yeah.
So, a very good defense by him so far. But now we have him with Overlords on the map, we have him with Zerglings everywhere, just trying to make sure that whatever Yonghwa is doing right now, that he knows about the timing of the pros player to move out.
Yeah, and right now, he has not seen the +1 as being researched, actually. Did not go and check for that. So that's something he's still a little bit curious about. He does know that there's no 3rd or 4th gas. And he doesn't know 100%, but seeing no in 3rd or 4th gas does oftentimes indicate it's going to be a fast, either a fast 3rd Nexus or a +1 for Gateway Zealot timing attack. It is going to be a super fast 3rd Nexus going down before the 7-minute mark, with some little fake pressure here to force some links out.
Yeah, he builds the 3rd now on 1 gate, maybe with the +1 attack timing too, and is just trying to do some damage here. He knows that there is no speed just yet for Dark, and therefore pokes with the Stalker. Not too overconfident, completes the wall with those gateways immediately.
He needs to work on those rocks though, or he's not even going to be able to get probes over the Nexus. The rock's still at 2,000 hit points. And there is a Roach Warren coming out, a lot of Lings on the map. Ling speed still not started yet, so the Stalker will be able to get home. But I have to say, I really like this pressure move by Yonghwa. He moves out, he forces these Lings to be made. Now that he's got his wall set up, the Lings are not going to be very useful on the attack. So that's a lot of drones he just has to remake now. He didn't have them when he wanted to have them.
What you can do against this type of expansion, this 3rd with the additional 2 gates, is you can go for a Roach Link composition and then pressure at the natural and at the 3rd base. If you really do this well, especially now with the rock steel being intact, you can do a lot of damage and bust through. This is one of the oversights that Yonghwa has here. The rocks are still not down, so with a well-timed attack, Dark could do damage, but I really doubt that he's going to do it because that does not really seem to be his style.
Yeah, he's not the guy to say, oh, well, you took a risky expansion, I'm just going to attack you. He's more of the passive defender until he gets that really strong army. Blink and +2 coming out here now for Yonghwa. He's actually not using his photon cannon to work on those rocks, and to be honest, his fast Nexus is not as useful as he wants it to be. He's only got 2 probes mining there. He's had this Nexus for a while now. And this is just, really, I feel, an oversight in his strategy, leaving the rocks up this long.
I talked with Robbie a lot about the strategy and about how to get those 3 expansions up as a Protoss player on this map and what the Zerg player can do. And his answer was either you really pressure from early in the beginning and try to make sure that you run in with the Zerglings before those 2 gateways are being built, or you have to do some kind of pressure play at the natural of the 3rd, at the natural and the 3rd base, especially when the rocks are not down just yet. But as we can see, the option that Dark chooses to play here is basically just going for this late game. This is exactly what we talked about. It seems to be his style to set up these Spinecrawler walls, to go for his tech. And we have him with an additional macro hatch here now as well. So once again, playing a very solid game up to this point.
Yeah, and he's getting that infestation pit, which can allow him to do several different things. For example, defend big attacks like this. This is a really fast Blink Stalker push that's happening off of 3 Nexi. He's got the extra gateways added now.
Yeah, look at those gates
going out.
This is exactly what we mentioned earlier. This is this gateway heavy attack, which is crazy. On 10, 11 gates, he can do this with no problem. He has, I think, 8 or 9 at this point in time. Moves in, and here we go. Now he's trying to make this work, and at the same time, Dark does not have a lot of army.
He's got 4 links. That's it.
And a few roaches.
Yeah,
that's all that he's
just
got.
Popping out here, and he's not going to be able to hold this. He just doesn't have any units. Now he's got his macro hatch is dying. His roaches are trapped in the main base.
No spine crawlers.
He's got no spine. He's trying to get his roaches in, but Force Fields just lock him out every time.
Really well done. Really well done here by Yonghwa. Nice timing in act. Dark playing things a little bit too greedy.
Yeah, way too greedy here, and you know, he saw the third base come up and he thought, okay, well, Younghwa's going to be defensive here, just try to get his economy up, but he just added a bunch of gateways and hit a slightly delayed Blink Stalker push with more gateways, more money.
Once the Protoss plays in this position, you can use the force fields to shut out every single unit that has been spawned at the third base, in the main base. So there's the GG as Younghwa takes this game. Basically, Dark overextending himself in terms of economy, not having his army ready, no spine crawlers. That was a pretty straightforward win by Younghwa, executing exactly the attack that we talked about in the early stages that becomes so much more popular in Korea. 3 bases and then heavy gateway pressure with Blink.
That was just so well done. In general, I feel that Younghwa, he knew that the possibility was there that Dark was going to have enough units to hold, but he could always fall back in transition with the 3 bases he had. This is a really cool attack that a lot of players are still doing on Entomb Valley. And when you're a Zerg player here, you don't always expect it. It's really hard to prepare. Dark showed in game number 1 he does play really greedy, and I think that Younghwa may have just reacted to this. He watched the game while MC was playing, and just he hesitated not for a second, moved to that forward pylon, and he actually just kind of marched across the map and took his first victory for his team.
Yeah, it was definitely a well-executed strategy, and you could see that Dark really struggled. As mentioned before, when you are on the high ground, suddenly you can just shut down all the paths of the Zerg play to get additional units in. The ramp into the main base. To your right side, you have this small choke point where you can use 2 force fields in order to block everything off that's being produced at the third base. Then you have enough time to warp in another round of units, and you're completely safe. So this was a really straightforward win by Younghwa, and therefore we have now a 1-1 situation in the GSTL match between LGIM and Slayers. And it's time for Slayers to pick their next player.
Yeah, and I'm wondering who it's going to be, because like we talked about earlier, there's not a lot of Zerg players, for example, on the team. Like we will see a Terran here, and I don't know which one it's going to be, because all of their Terrans are really good, and some of their Terrans, like for example, you've got big hitters like MMA and Ryung. Those are some of the 2 strongest Terrans that are on the team, arguably the strongest Terrans by far. So do you want to send someone out like that this early? I don't think so. You got to pick somebody else who's kind of more in the middle, I feel.
Last season, one of the strongest Zerg players that they had in their lineup was Koka, and Koka is not on the bench. You can't help them today. He was actually one of the players who really made an impression and already put his foot down in the individual league. But now, who do we have on the bench? We have, of course, also Mia, for example, a player that we've seen in the past coming out for Slayers. Do you send out a Zerg player that might have a chance against Younghwa, but which map do you choose? Do you want to face things off with a Terran player on a good map right now? It's really a little bit tricky for Slayers. They have a huge lineup, but they don't have the names that LGIM has on the bench.
They really don't. If they pull someone like MMA out here and he loses, it's like, well, you know, he's gone. And what about all the other players you have to deal with, like Seed, for example, Lucira? I mean, how are you going to deal with a player like that? That's the question. So I think I'm thinking about it, you know, and I think Mia, someone on like Mia's caliber is the right choice, but you don't want to send a Zerg out again after a Zerg was just demolished by Younghwa, I don't feel. It is his map choice, so it's going to be a slightly different situation. He's not going to have to play against a Protoss on kind of a tough map like Entomb, but I actually cannot predict which player they're going to send out. I don't think it's possible for me.
The map right now is Antigua Shipyard, so it could well be a Zerg player. As a Zerg, you want to play this map. The only thing that you have to be really careful of is an push with either Immortals or Heavy Gateway onto the third base. There you have to be really careful that your opponent doesn't get access to the high ground, or your third will die for sure. But in general, this is one of the maps that Protoss players hate against Zerg. They really don't like to play it. It's huge. You have a lot of potential to flank your opponent. But here we have the bench now. So who is it going to be? Sitting at the bottom left was just Yu-Gi-Oh! Top left we have MMA.
Oh wow.
And it is
going to be MMA.
Yeah, it's really him. Look at this.
He's not messing around.
No, they are taking the risk here.
They are taking the risk. You know, this is something we talked about. It's a calculated risk for them to send him out here because it's a great show of force. It's like, well, we're not messing around. We're going to send one of our best players here. And Younghwa in the booth, man, when he found out, he had to adjust his monitor because he knows he's playing against someone of this level. MMA, very famous not only in Korea but overseas. People called him the son of Boxer when he first came to the team, and just such smart play, really cool strategies, makes very few mistakes. You know, he almost beat Gumiho in the finals of last GSTL. That was the last time he came out for the team league, and at that moment, that was actually a crazy game, and Gumiho was able to push him back and then get the all kill. But if MMA had beaten Gumiho there, the entire finals would have been a completely different story. And I think MMA is someone that they can really rely on if he's in his best mindset. We're about to find out how he's feeling. the map choice, Antigua here, a little bit strange, but I think it's also a way to make it so that the other Zerg players on Slayers can face Terrans later on without having to worry about that map pick.
And MMA, he trained against Protoss. He had Mana in his Code S group, and with the 2-0 he was able to take down Mana.
Yeah.
And one of the styles that MMA used in this match was actually that he nuked quite a lot, and Mana also already before the match and also afterwards, he said that this is one of the things that he personally thinks Terran players should do a lot more in the late game. Just start using nukes. They have the Ghost Academy anyways, they have the Ghosts, and nukes can just pressure a Protoss player so much if executed well, put pressure onto the economy, and always make sure that the Terran player, the Protoss player, has to jump across the map, look for these nukes. So definitely something that we might see today as well. Another win that MMA was able to edge out was against Inori at the IEM in Cologne. So against Protoss, he's looking really strong these days. Against Hangun, a win in Code A last season, also taking down Hero.
Oh, that Hangun game.
And now leaving
now leaving the booth. He's going to need to... I think that his chances of winning the match do decrease the further away from his keyboard and mouse he does become.
You think?
It's possible, though. He does have a wireless keyboard. But I think that he will
Without the screen, it's a little bit rough.
It's a little bit tough. I'm not sure if he's got psychic powers. I haven't been able to determine this yet, as I do not personally have psychic powers. I don't know how to... No, I don't actually. I don't have those. But I admit this. I don't have psychic powers, but I think you need a person with psychic powers to find out if someone else has psychic powers, right? Because they're not going to tell you if they have psychic powers, so you have to use your psychic powers to find out they have psychic powers. Right? Am I mistaken here? Do you have psychic powers? Do you know? If you had psychic powers, man, I wouldn't know it. I don't have psychic powers. So how would I know?
Yeah, but I could basically tell you I have psychic powers and you could never prove it.
No,
if your theory is correct.
I guess that's true. I can never prove it, but like...
Okay, so Wolf, I hate to break it to you, but I have psychic powers.
Really?
Yeah.
If so, then what did I eat for dinner last night?
That's not my power.
Okay, so what kind of psychic powers do you have? You can't read
I can't
minds,
tell.
but you can...
If I tell you, I have to kill you.
But we're on camera right now, so you'll be caught. I don't know.
I would have to kill them as well.
Well, that's a lot of people watching right now, man.
Exactly.
Alright,
that's too much kill
listen,
my conscience.
you might even hurt the StarCraft and the esports community too much. You have to kill these people. It's a big fuss, you know, you're on the run from the police and stuff. I get why you can't tell me. I understand.
I'm sorry, I would if I could.
Well, okay.
Later.
Yeah, later. Yeah, when it's safe.
Yeah.
When it's the right time.
Exactly. But well, psychic powers or not, MMA against Youngwa is definitely going to be a great game, a great Terran versus Protoss. And I actually think with the preparation that MMA put in preparing against Protoss players in the last few... not only in Code S, but also last season when he was in Code A, when he had to play there. So that's something that really will help him now. Of course, he can't practice particularly against Youngwa, so it's not like he can analyze his opponent and his style, but he knows very well how to approach this matchup, especially when he can choose the map, and Antigua Shipyard gives him a lot of options.
You know, I feel like MMA may really be back, quote-unquote. You know, there was a time where he was doing crazy well. You know, at BlizzCon, he was insane. And then he was not, you know, slumping necessarily, but then he became to slump, and then he was kind of... Nobody really knew what he was doing. There was all these things on Team Liquid, what's going on with MMA. Now he's able to get out of his Code S group, and he's just looking on fire.
The BlizzCon match was actually the first match that I've seen when I came to Korea. I just arrived, and I think the next day we came to the studio, because it was not live here, obviously, as it was BlizzCon, but we had a screen set up and everything, so I just watched it here at the studio, which was pretty cool. But yeah, you're right. So MMA now is in the lobby, just came back, apparently a quick bathroom break for the Slayers Terran, and now he's up against Youngwa. Not an easy match, but definitely something where I would say that MMA is the favorite.
Yeah, I think, well, yeah, I would say so too. It's
not to take anything away from Youngwa.
Yeah, but because Youngwa and MMA, I feel right now are both doing so well. Don't worry, Dan, he'll forgive you.
You think?
I think so. I think he'll forgive you right now.
Well, Dan has plans to go with me to the gym very soon to get into shape, so he better forgive me.
Dan's probably throwing his vegetarian food at the TV right now, like how angry he is right now.
He's sitting there. Atos is once again sitting in front of his computer, only shorts, nothing else.
Yeah. He's probably got either the baby or the cat in his lap, or maybe both. He's like petting both of them with two hands.
Well, Atos, if you're watching, there is your your protege to the right, Younghwa. Can he beat MMA?
We'll find out, man. The map in Tiga Shipyard, as mentioned, I feel that it's possible we see MMA do a factory-based build on this map. A lot of players really like this map for that because it's really easy to just walk across the map. So many good siege-up locations. Also, though, that 2 metaback timing push off 2 bases with +1 it can be really difficult to defend because there's so much surface area to elevator into the main. It's very difficult to use a Zealot-heavy army or a Sentry-heavy army to defend that. You've got to make sure you have your Stalkers in position. And Younghwa is ready to go, so I think we're going to start the match now.
Yeah, Younghwa definitely wants to once again shine for his team in the GSTL. So far he had a decent record, a brilliant record actually, against Fnatic especially. And here we go, game number 3, Slayers versus LGIM MMA versus Younghwa. Why am I thinking Hangul now?